So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a nature check. Nature or history? History check. I'm going to make a history check. It's actually both the same because we're not proficient in either. I'm going to make an intelligence check of some kind to see whether we know whether Apis knows what this creature is that's been stalking them. So how I do that is I open up this bit and I go skill, and then which one is it going to be? I'll make it a history check. It kind of makes more story sense to me. So with a history check, you can see that it rolled a D20 and got a 12, and then we add 3 because of our intelligence modifier. So we got a 15 total. So with a 15 total, Apis does recognize what this creature is. Apis grew up in a house with a mother known as Eldith, and Eldith was quite interested and keen on the Fey creatures. All throughout Apis's younger life, Eldith would read them storybooks from the Fey, about the Fey. Storybooks about fairies and pixies and sprites, stories about leprechauns and cluricons, stories about archfey, and stories about all sorts of different creatures of the Feywild, hags and such. One such creature that Eldith once or twice told a story of was a 6-legged panther with tentacles called a Displacer Beast. And so Apis does recognize one from their stories. This is the first time seeing one. Actually, let's see. I'm just going to roll to see if Apis has seen one before. No. Cluricons, yeah, they're a type of leprechaun, but they're always drunk. Look them up. Apis has never seen one before, but knows about them, has heard of them. And so Apis knows a little about how they are ferocious hunters. With a 15 on history, Apis doesn't know a lot about them. They just know that they are said to have come from the Feywild originally. They were trained as hunting animals by some Fey, and then they escaped their masters and took on a life of their own. And many of them actually transitioned over into the material plane and made a life for themselves there. So Apis knows that they are a dangerous predator of sorts, and they look just as dangerous as you would expect them to be when they are a 6-legged feline, a large cat of sorts. With a 15, Apis wouldn't know the details of whether they hunt in packs or alone, but with being... We're not proficient in nature. Now, actually, I will make a supplementary check for nature. And it would pertain to being in the forest, so we would get to add our proficiency bonus to that. That's a nat 1 plus 3 plus our proficiency bonus. That's a 6. So unfortunately, Apis doesn't know enough about the big cats, not having really encountered them much. Apis doesn't know enough about the big cats to know whether or not this one would hunt in packs or alone. So unfortunately, Apis has no way of knowing that at this stage. What you do know is this: you see yourself over here. So we can see that we've been wandering through the forest, like so, with our bee companion buzzing along ahead. We were doing some tracking, trying to find something to hunt. We're walking through this forest with these large trees around. And then we turned round and saw roughly 60 feet back. Let me measure it out exactly. In fact, you don't know exactly. You don't measure things with your eyes. You just know rough distances. So roughly that far back, coming around from the back of this massive tree here, you see a very large tentacle beast. And I need you guys to roll initiative. So I will roll for Mel and the Displacer Beast with a dice, and then I will roll a initiative check on the actual text as well. So first for Mel. That is not great. Not a great initiative, Mel. Next, let's roll for Apis. Let's go with, how is it? Just skill check, initiative, skill, init. Here goes. Hey, nat 20. Nat 20 plus 2. So nat 1 on the nature check, but a nat 20 on the getting the fuck out of there check. So Apis with a nat 20 plus 2 is probably going to be going first, let's be honest. And then the Displacer. Alright. So, as is, here, here, and here. Oops, Control Z. Come on, Mel. Give me your initiative token, please. Thank you. So at the top of the round, we're going to need a decision to be made by everybody in chat, because you guys are going to get to go first. So start thinking about what you are going to do if you want to be in with the chance to go first on this initiative order. Have a think about what you're going to do, because I'm going to give you the option to pop into a chat here. So on the first round of combat, if you want to be in with a chance to win, you need to just simply type the word !beast, B-E-A-S-T. And then I will draw one of those people at random, and that person will have to tell me what it is that they're going to do. Your movement is, and I can show you actually if I head over to Apis, what I can do is I can give them a little gammon. I can give them a little aura of 25 feet from the center of their circle. So anywhere within that aura, that's where Apis can reach on with a single movement. That with their tiny little dwarf legs, that's as far as they can move. Piper Bird, you are the next winner. Can you make some sort of acknowledgement in the chat, please, to let us know that you're still here? Piper Bird. Oh crap, no pressure, I guess. Yes, no pressure, Piper Bird. If you need to know anything, you let us know. You ask the questions. You take your time to work out what you want to do. Here's the situation as you can see it. You're in the forest. You can see your bee companion is ahead of you. The Displacer Beast is behind. There is a fallen log behind them, and the fallen log ahead of you. A stump there. Not sure anything else that you need to know. I'm all for fighting, but not sure if I want to try longbow or just get a bit closer and see if I can see more about it. Well, the longbow is your best option. So as you can see below me here, you can see that we have a +6 to hit with a longbow. So if we're making a longbow attack, you roll a d20 and you add 6 to it, and then that has to hit its armor class. So obviously you're more likely to hit with a longbow than you are with a short sword or a mace, for instance. And not only that, but if you hit with a longbow, you're doing 1d8 plus 2 piercing damage instead of 1d6 plus 2 or 1d6 plus 1. So you're actually not only more likely to hit, but you're more likely to cause more damage as well. It looks like I have line of sight with the bow. Yep, it certainly does. Let me just trace that out for you. With this one here, I can trace it out directly from you to the beast. You can definitely hit. Obviously, if you aim for this side, you're not likely to clip the big tree trunk here. But you can definitely take an attack at it without any... Do we know about the displacing thing? With a 15, you would know that it is called a Displacer Beast for its ability to displace where it's actually standing. It's already aware of us. Yes, it's definitely walked around the tree and and is smiling malevolently in our direction. You get an instinctive response, an instinctive feeling from this creature that it is not only predatory, but it is intelligent. So Piper, what do you reckon? So the ability that I was meaning there is that Apis would be aware from the fairy stories that these displacer beasts are known as such because they displace the light that is hitting their body from their bluish-black cloak. It uses a particular sheen to displace the light that is hitting them to a couple of feet on either side of them, so you don't actually know where they are standing at any one time. Their image kind of shifts and shimmers with them as they move. Can I do attack with the longbow, drop a trap with a bonus action, and then move back? So setting the hunting trap would definitely be an entire action because you're having to like set up a proper bear trap. So you can't just, I mean, you can drop it as a free action, you can drop it on the floor, but it wouldn't be set. You wouldn't be able to set the trap. So you can attack with your action and then move back. You can also, just so that you're aware, this spell here, Zephyr Strike and Hunter's Mark both allow you to do more damage to a creature that you hit. So you could do that as a bonus action and then do your attack with your attack action and try and do more damage that way. But Zephyr Strike and Hunter's Mark both allow you to do more damage. Zephyr Strike as well also allows you to move a little bit further on one turn of your round. I'm not sure how our traps work, like they're cull traps or something. No, it's a hunting trap that we have, a big, large, like bear trap. Not the correct kind of trap, not for this situation, no. Zephyr Strike and then longbow, if that's okay. That is perfectly okay, Piper. You are the one in charge of Apis right now. So what you do is, as your bonus action, you will cast Zephyr Strike. So one of the things that we have done before is that we're getting a little bit familiar with this now. We've cast Zephyr Strike once when we were attacking the owlbear. We did it again when we were attacking an ogre. So we're starting to get a little bit familiar with it now. So what Zephyr Strike does is, if I maybe on my phone would be the easiest. Yeah, I'll pull it up on my phone. I'll read you the spell so that everybody in the chat is currently aware of exactly what spell we are casting. Zephyr Strike. So Zephyr Strike is a bonus action to cast. You cast it on yourself, and it's a concentration spell, meaning you have to keep concentrating on the spell in order to continue it going. So you move like the wind until the spell ends. Your movement will not provoke opportunity attacks. So if you are right next to something and it attacks you, you can step away without them getting a free swipe at you. Once, before the spell ends, so in that 10 rounds of combat, on one of those rounds, you can give yourself advantage on one weapon attack roll on your turn. And that attack will deal an extra d8 of force damage if it hits. Whether or not you hit or miss, your walking speed increases by 30 feet until the end of that turn. So you cast your Zephyr Strike so that you are less likely to hit with your opportunity attacks and things. And then Piper, do you wish to take the once per spell advantage in this particular round, or is that something that you want to save for later? If you take it now, you're more likely to hit. You do more damage if you hit. And your speed increases by 30 for this round. Why not? Let's try and hit the thing. All right. So Apis, seeing what this thing is, as it stalks round from the base of the tree and looks at you with these glowing eyes, these cat-like eyes, but glowing in a way that it's not like the light is even hitting it. It's sort of underneath the canopy of the trees, and it still has glowing eyes. It's almost like it's coming from within. You instantly recognize it from the storybooks, and you think, this thing wants blood. I know what it looks like to be a hunter, and this thing is hunting, and it wants me, and I'm not gonna become prey. I'm out here to hunt a creature, not to be the hunted. So quickly, thinking fast, you whip out an arrow, you take aim with your longbow, and as you fire, you get this sense again of things moving slower in the forest around you. As you let loose the arrow, the Displacer Beast seems to shimmer and shift just at the last moment, and it starts to move to the side, and as its fake form seems to pass over the top of its real form, for a brief moment you see where it is, and you negate, because of your advantage on the roll, you negate the disadvantage that is imposed by the fact that it has shimmering pelt. So I will roll an attack now. It's going to be a straight roll because your advantage is cancelling out the disadvantage. And that's a 25 to hit, so that will definitely hit. 6 points of damage, and because you used your Zephyr Strike, you do an extra d8 of damage as well. And we got an 8 as well, so 8 on top of that. So we did 14 points of damage to it on that first strike. As the arrow strikes through the air and right past the bark of the tree that it's coming past, it sinks into the shoulder of this beast just as its form passes over its real form. And then there's this flickering of light as it lets out a yelp of pain. And you realise that its distraction, its concentration was broken on its displacing ability. And all of a sudden you can tell exactly where it is actually standing for real. You have negated its displacing ability until the end of its next turn, which is pretty useful. You also, instead of having a 25 movement speed, you also have a 55 movement speed until the end of this turn. So very good, very good, very good movement indeed. So Piper, where exactly are you going to move to? Presumably away from it. Of course, you could run towards it if you wanted to, but I'm assuming you're not going to. I'm sorry, kitty cat. Whereabouts would you like to go? Give me a sort of clock face number, and I'll head in that direction. 3 o'clock. All right. So we are going to move basically in this direction as far as we can get with our 55 feet of movement. So with 45 feet of movement, we can set off around this log here, and we can get to about here. Do we want to go up or do we want to go down? We've got, because of Zephyr Strike, our normal speed will get us to there, but then because we took that Zephyr Strike action. Oh, you can't see past the bee, sorry. My mistake. So as you run away, you've gotten to here with 40 feet of movement. You got another 15 feet of movement. With 15 feet, you can get just to the other side of this log because it'll be difficult terrain to get over the log. So you can get up and over this log and try and like duck down behind, potentially even break line of sight if you were lucky. Or you can continue to run and get even further up here. Let's get behind that log. All right, so Apis runs, jumps up and over the log, slides over it, and slams down on the other side of the log, hoping to duck behind it for a little bit of cover. So that was your bonus action for Zephyr Strike, your attack action, and your movement. That is everything you can do. So now it is on to the Displacer Beast's turn. The Displacer Beast lets out a yelp. I'm going to roll it's kind of an insight, kind of animal handling. I'm going to make it an animal handling check because we're proficient in that. It's not exactly an animal, but close enough for us to get the bonus. Nat 1. Nat 1 plus 4 plus 5. Nat 1 plus 4 plus another 2 because of us being in a forest. 7 is not enough to fully understand the nature of why it's calling out. It could be in pain, it could be something else. But then you hear some padded feet running through the undergrowth, and you realise that no, it has not given up the chase. So with its full movement, it's going to get to here, and then it's going to, as an action, it's going to dash. And as its dash action, it's going to get to here. As you ran past Mel, she turns to you as she was flying along, unaware of everything. You come running past her, and she goes, "Apis, what is going on? What is? Oh my goodness, what is that?" And that is the Displacer Beast's turn. So back up to the top. Back up to Mel's turn now. Mel is going to see this thing, she's going to freak out, and she's going to fly. She's got 50 feet of movement. So she's going to fly upwards, which I'm going to indicate with these wings here to say that she's not on ground level anymore. She's going to fly to here. Let's put her to the front. Thank you. She's going to fly to here, which was about 10 feet-ish, which means she can go roughly like 35-ish up. So she goes upwards, 35 feet above, actually. Cloud, 30 feet directly beneath her. Sweet. Yeah, she goes 35 feet up. And then she shakes. She starts to just shimmy and shake like a dog throwing water off of herself. And out of all of the yellow and black hairs that are adorning her cute little fluffy buzzy bee body, start to emerge spores and pollen that she's collected. And she starts to create this cloud of spores that come off of her and start to drift downwards. It drifts down about 30 feet, and then it starts to form outwards and swirl around like this cloud of dizzying movement. They seem to move and no longer affected by gravity, but they're sort of swirling back and forth in this sort of lazy, hazy way. And she is using her new Soporific Spores ability, which recharges on a short rest. Mel shakes off a dusting of pollen, which drifts downwards to form a 15-foot radius cloud up to 30 feet directly beneath her. All creatures in the cloud must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or fall asleep. The creature remains sleeping for 1 minute or until the sleeper takes damage or someone uses an action to wake it. Undead, constructs, and creatures with Fey ancestry are immune to this effect. He has not got the Fey ancestry trait, but he does have Fey ancestry, so I'm going to give him advantage on the check, but he still has to make it. So without advantage, the regular dice that I rolled a 4, but with advantage from the fact that he does have Fey blood, he got a nat 20. So these spores cover the Displacer's body entirely as it runs forward with an arrow sticking into its shoulder. Its tentacles come up and it's about to lash out at this giant bee in front of it when the bee takes off out of arm's reach and then dusts this cloud. And as it looks up to see where the bee went, this dust particles land on its face. Lands, poof, one of its 6 legs goes down and cripples, but then the other stand up again and it shakes its head off. Lets out a big roar and she realizes, unfortunately, that did not work. No, it was a 15-foot cloud centered on a point directly beneath her, so only to that 15-foot radius cloud. So Soporific Spores, unfortunately, did not work, but that is her movement and her action, so that's all she can do. It is now back to the top of the round with Apis. What I should have done, I need to remember that when it starts with Mel's turn, I need to start the next giveaway. So let's go with Claw, ! Claw, if you want to be in with the chance to decide what to do on this round of combat. It's got very sharp claws. Summoning the swarms as an action for Mel, yes. She decided to try and put it to sleep rather than summon the swarms, because it would have given you more chance to get away if it was sleeping for a minute. Climb a tree and hope it follows us up a tree and gets stuck. And then we have to get the medieval fantasy fire brigade to come and help it out of the tree. You have to cast Summon Fireman. Yeah. One per person, yeah. Hunter's Mark. We've still got Hunter's Mark that we can cast, which does more damage if we hit it. Got a busy chat today, yeah. 15-foot spell from 40 foot in the air. No wonder it failed. No, she casts a point within 30 feet of her, within the distance directly beneath of her. And from that point, a 15-foot radius cloud appears, which is why I described the spores as drifting down until they got 30 feet below her, and then they started doing the hazy-wazy thing. Sparrow, fly away. Can I get an acknowledgement in the chat? Sparrow, fly away, please. Oh, nuts. That counts as an acknowledgement, Sparrow. So, Sparrow, what would you like to do on this round of combat? Apis has 2 more spell slots. They can cast Zephyr Strike again if they want to. If they want that secondary attack again, they can cast Hunter's Mark. They can run. They can make an attack. We get extra movement. Nope, not every turn. Just on the turn that you choose to get your secondary effect of the spell. We've used that secondary effect, and so now that extra movement is gone. We do have a magical rope of commanding as well. No pressure, but we'll all turn on you if you do this wrong. Thanks, Bushido Geek. Plank of rope. Shoot and run. We could just shoot and run. That is an option. Hope that it gets distracted by Mel for a while. The restrain is over 50 feet, though not sure what the speed of it. I don't know what you mean by that. The Displacer Beast will be hard to entangle, potentially, yeah. Alright, so we are going to shoot and run, trying to keep it in line of sight wherever possible. We can do Hunters as a bonus, but we would lose concentration on Zephyr Strike, so if it ever got up to melee range with us, we wouldn't be able to move away without getting a free attack from it, so I don't know. That's a choice that Sparrow has to make. We are at 25 speed again now, because that particular feature of Zephyr Strike has run out. We are going to... you can't dash as a bonus, whoever said that. I think we need to keep the attack of opportunity thing from Zephyr. It closed the gap pretty quickly. Yes, it did. So we will go back over here then, so that I can show you a little bit more of the battlefield. Apis pops up from the behind the log, seeing the last of the soporific spores fading away, and this thing roaring, realizing, god damn, it closed the gap pretty quickly. Then you take another attack. This one, because it hasn't taken damage since the end of its last turn, it now gets its shimmering pelt back, and so you see that it's now moving its form again, and there seems to be an illusory arrow that's moving with it, that's sticking out of it, so you can't get like an idea of which one's actually real by basing it on where the arrow is. You just take a shot and it's going to be at disadvantage. So with disadvantage, that's a 14 to hit. A 14 is actually enough to hit still. So even with disadvantage, it's shimmering, it's looking up at your friend, so it's not paying attention to where you are. An arrow manages to strike down between the two images that you're seeing, and it screeches and looks your way, realizing it's been hit. So that is going to be 4 points of damage. 18 points of damage. It's still not looking wounded yet, but now you have your turn to move, and you can move from where you are to the edge of one of these things. So you're going to try and keep it in line of sight. So I'd say you're moving over here. So 25 feet gets us to about here. So you can still see the beast from where you are now. Is there anything else you wanted to do with your bonus action before that's the end of your turn?
I see you following.
Thank you for the follow. It stopped displacing when we hit it with the first arrow. It also, now that you've hit it with a second, stops displacing until the end of its next turn, which is right after yours. So Apis, that's your turn over. Displacer Beast's turn begins, and right now, in fact, I can probably start the next round. So the next round, if you want to be in with the chance to decide what Apis does on the next turn of combat, you can put exclamation mark tooth, Tooth. But for now, it is the Displacer Beast's turn. It decides that it cannot hit Mel, Mel's 35-ish feet above it. Can't leap that high. So it's going to go after you, who's been hitting it with an arrow and running away, giving it more of a chase. So it runs along here. It runs up and onto the log, because it is a large, very muscular, athletic predator that runs through the forest. It is not slowed down by the log. So it gets 40 feet towards you with its movement. It is not quite in range of hitting you, so it's going to have to dash. It uses its dash action to get round here. Actually, I'll run round here to the back of this bush-ish, like somewhere like there. It's prowling round. It seems to like skid along the dirt. Some of its back legs come up onto this tree log here. And it's not bloodied, no. If you ever do a ranged attack within 5 feet of an enemy, whether that's the enemy you're attacking or not, that is at disadvantage, yes. So it's just run around the back of that bush and gotten to the other side of you here.
My passive perception is 24. I see you following me.
I now am going to roll a particular check on behalf of Apis. And we go to 6, so never mind. Now it is, I believe that's everything the Displacer Beast can do, so now it is the end of its turn and the start of Mel's turn. Mel, realizing her soporific spores did not work, is going to use her movement to move as the crow flies directly towards you 50 feet, because she can. And then she starts, she says, Apis, what is this thing? Have you seen what it is before? How do we get away? And then as she flies, she is going to start buzzing her wings. She says, come to my aid, my beloved servants. We need your help. And as she screams this, she is going to use her action to summon her militia. And the buzzing from the insects in the general forest region starts to grow louder and louder as from the grasses, from the ground, from the bushes, from the leaves, from the woodwork of the bark of the trees come a bunch of swarming insects that fly and swarm and sting and bite and are summoned into a space within 30 feet of her. So yep, that's within 30 feet of her. She's going to summon it directly on top of the Displacer Beast. And they occupy its space. That was her action to do so. It is now the militia's turn, because her turn's over. The militia's turn, they are going to attack a creature within their space. I think they'll pick him. The Displacer Beast. They have got their full hit points, so they're using their full stat block, which is their bite attack plus 3. Nat 20. Nat 20 on the bites. Alright, insects are earning their worth. So Nat 20, the way I do it is you maximize the damage that you could have possibly gotten before, and then you roll the damage once more on top of that. I'm going to need some D4s, aren't I? Because they bite with the D4. Where are my D4s? They always go to the bottom because they're the smallest dice. This one and this one will do. Nope, no it won't. That's a D8. Excuse me, bear with. Got so many goddamn dice. Here we are. Those two will do. So maximizing the damage would be 2d4 plus 1. That's 9 points of piercing damage. 9 plus another 2d4. They bite with a d8, do they? Oh, damn, I almost maximized these two as well. I got a 4 and a 3. So 9 plus 7 is 16. 16 points of insect damage. 16 onto 18 is 34. 34 points of damage to this thing as they bite and scratch and tear at its pelt. And you see that the shimmering, which had started up again, Oh, they had disadvantage on the attack. God damn it. They had disadvantage, so that nat 20 might not actually be the case. They need to roll it again if it's going to be the case. The second attack was a 19, so not a nat 20, but a 19 at least. So they still hit, even with its shimmering. They don't really know where they're hitting. Thankfully, I guess they're insects, and so they're just like biting whatever they can feel. So they still hit. They do not get the crit damage, but I'll still take the 4 and the 3 that I rolled plus 1, so that's 8 points of piercing damage instead of what was it? I was on 18, so that takes me to 26. And it's shimmering because it's taken damage. It starts to drop its concentration on it. It shimmers back into one place, and you guys can see exactly where it is. All right. Displace that shit, Displacer. So I believe that's all that they can do. That's all of Mel's turn. So it is now back to the top of the round with Apis. So let's roll it and see who it was. Fancy Unicorn. Is this your first time winning, I think? Fancy Unicorn. Give me a little acknowledgement. It's not bloodied, no. Fancy, you've got a Displacer Beast that is getting distracted by swarming insects. You've got a giant bee companion that's 35 feet-ish above you. You are currently about 16 feet from it, give or take. Is that bush in a way of an arrow? I'd say it has half cover behind the bush. It was totally listening and not adding a disc command. Fancy, this is what you can see. The Displacer has just been bitten by the insect, which means that its shimmering ability has ceased for the round, so you won't have disadvantage on an attack if you wanted to attack. You can run. You can run to as far as you can see on the yellow aura. So you could run away back over to this log where you came from, or back up here. You could run down into this little area here. You can get wherever you want it to be. It's actually, I said it was 16 feet, but actually to get from your side to it would be about 10 feet. So to get from the side of... Why is it not doing it? To get from the side of you to the side of it is about, just under 10 feet. Rope of commanding, it's possible. No suggestions, Fancy, it's you. You're in charge. You have to decide. What are we doing? You're currently concentrating on Zephyr Strike. It removes their attack of opportunity. So you're currently concentrating on that. You could drop that and cast Hunter's Mark. You could attack it. You could run away. You could try and reason with it. You could try and give it food. You could try and give it a big hug. You could use your action to cast to light a torch and then wave a fiery torch in its face. You could drop your pants and moon it. Whatever you want. It's the world is your oyster. Can we backtrack over the existing trail? Yeah, absolutely. You just going to dash then? So you can move back to where we just ran from, this side of the log, and then you can dash to get over the log and back in that general direction again. Let's get as far as we can. All right. So moving with the wind, you things start to catch up to you again after that initial slow-mo movement as you ran away. Things start to get up to normal speed again. As it runs around the corner, it scratches into you, and then there's a summoned swarm of insects that start to bite at its pelt. It loses its shimmering ability, and then you turn your back and start to run. As you turn your back and start to run, the surroundings around you again start to slow down a little, and you glance over your shoulder just in time to see its tentacle raising up. It's got one eye looking towards you, and it stretches out, and it's got this rubbery sort of leathery, sinewy kind of texture to it as it stretches out, and as it whips in your direction, it's taking an attack of opportunity on you. But because of Zephyr Strike, you manage to dodge out of the way of it. These clawed pad at the end of its tentacles come just over your shoulder, and you realize, damn, that would have hurt. So you run 25 feet back over to the log where you came from, where you were hiding before. And then with your action, you said we are going to dash. So we're going to get up and over the log with difficult terrain, half movement. So we'll get to about there. And then with half movement, we get 25. So we get to about there, 20 feet-ish. All right. That is Apis's turn then. We've used our action and our movement. We've got nothing we want to do as a bonus action, it seems. So at the end of Apis's turn, the next round is going to be !pad, P-A-D. As you noticed, the big fleshy pad of its tentacle was filled with sharp spines, sharp toothy spines. Meanwhile, it is Apis's turn done, and it is now on to the Displacer Beast's turn. The Displacer Beast, still without its shimmering pelt, is not going to move out of this these bees and things range. Instead, it's going to take its tentacles come whipping back from missing Apis, and it's just going to try and take 2 tentacle attacks at the bees and things around it to try and take them out. So their armor class is that, his modifier is that, so that is definitely a miss, and this one is definitely a hit. So the first one whiffs through, not taking out any of the insects. The next one, however, is going to do 11 halved, because it's bludgeoning and piercing damage, and the bees and things are resistant to that, being that they're an entire swarm. So half of 11 rounded up is 6. They take 6 points of damage. They are not yet looking bloodied. It is then going to move 40 feet. It's going to chase you down. Alright, so they're going to take an attack of opportunity on it. It still doesn't have its ability back because it's not at the end of its turn. Oops. That is going to hit. So they are going to do their full damage of a 4 and a 3 again. 4 and a 3 plus 1. That's another 8 damage to it. Add 8. Still not looking wounded as it gets a few more. It stings and bites and scratches from insects as it relieves their cloud of biting range. Then at the end of its turn, it starts to shimmer again and starts to move in its displacing way. I think that is the end of its turn. So now it is. I tell you what I can do to try and speed things up. Actually, I'll draw Apis's turn now, and then you've got all of Mel's round to sort of decide what you're going to do. So !pad, roll it. Wraith 85. Put a little. Oh, there you are. I just saw you say something literally right before Nightbot rolled it, so I know you're here. You've got Mel's turn to decide what you are going to do. It is now Mel. Mel has used her once per day abilities. Well, 2 of them. She is just going to have to sting the thing. That's all she's got. That's all she can do. So she drops down. Towards it. I don't know if we can get away from this thing, Apis. It is much too strong for us. She's going to drop down towards it. And then she's going to attack it with a sting attack. Nat 1. Bugger. Alright, Mel misses, but she is going to use the rest of her movement to get out of its range. Yeah, she's going to use the rest of her movement to get out of its range. She drops down 10, and then she's going to climb again another 20. So that's 30 and then 40-ish. So she can get to about there, and she's now about 20 feet off the ground again. He's going to take an attack of opportunity with a tentacle as she leaves his melee range. That is going to be an 11, which is not quite her armor class. So he strikes out with his tentacle and misses her. that is the end of Mel's turn. Oops, I didn't pull her up. So there she is. And now it's the militia's turn. The militia, Mel's militia. Let's move the battlefield a little. Mel's militia is going to swarm over this way. How far can they move? Not very far, but just-ish. Not quite far enough. Because they have to attack something in their space. So they can't quite get close enough to hit it, so they're going to have to dash and get into its space to annoy it again. That's the end of Mel's turn. It is now Apis' turn. Wraith, what are we doing? Apis. What you doing, Wraith? What are we doing? You've had Mel's turn to think about it. You see the battlefield as is now. Apis is that far away. We're going to shoot and run. Keep it going, alright. Keep peppering away. It has not taken damage since its last turn, so it still has its Displacer ability, so your attack will be at disadvantage. So as we slide over this thing like Dukes of Hazzard style over the top of the log and we land on the other side, we hear it striking out at Mel. Mel's like, I don't know if we can do this, Apis. And as you're running, you turn around, you strike off another arrow at it, right, almost, it's really closing in. Let's go with a strikes, attack longbow. And what I need is like a single button that'll just do my longbow attacks and things. That's what I need. So the first one is a 10 to hit, so it's going to miss regardless. But with disadvantage, I will roll again in case we get a nat 1. Because we might take out a B or 2 here. Skill... no, not skill. Attack. Longbow. Longbow attack rolls. Why did that roll twice? Oh, hey, Fancy's got a disadvantage thing now. Hey, look at that. You just added it. You're the best. You're the best, Fancy. She's the best around. Bow. All right. Well, I'll use the 21 was the next roll that it would have rolled for me. So a 21 or a 10. The 10 will miss. As we take a strike at it, it seems to aim directly at it, and it goes through its face. And at that point, we realize, shit! I was fooled. I looked at the wrong thing. We can theoretically horseshoe if we want to. There's a horseshoe over there. For those who are new to the channel, the lucky horseshoe gives us a once per day reroll of any attack roll, any skill saving throw, any skill check, or any attack that's made against us. We can force them to reroll as well. The attack dis should work for both dis and adv. Yeah, it'll just roll both. It'll just roll twice, and you just choose whichever one. Want to save horseshoe for a critical save? A lot of people are saying, yeah, horseshoe for a critical. We'll save it for when it's more when more urgent than just a single attack on it. Apis is going to use their turn to move away. That's going to be 25 feet to get to there. So you shot, you attacked. Nothing for a bonus, Wraith? Nothing for a bonus now? Technically, you can horseshoe if you want to, Wraith. It's your turn. You can suggest it, and if you suggest it, I'll have to put it to a vote of everybody. All right, that is you then. Next person's turn. Let's cancel you and make a new one. Let's go with. What's a word that's not too difficult to spell? Cat! Exclamation mark cat. C-A-T. As you fight this big cat. If you want to be in with a chance to be in deciding on what Apis does on the next round of combat, you need to type exclamation mark cat into the chat right now, as a lot of people are doing. And it is now the Displacer's turn. The Displacer Beast has not been very lucky with the attacks yet. So could it get to you? I think it could. You're the one who's attacking it, and you're the prey. You're the biggest threat to it. The bee hasn't done anything yet directly. The swarms are an irritation, but it doesn't really care about that. So it goes up onto the log there and directly downwards towards you. Yeah, it's gonna go to there, and then final sort of 5 feet of movement. It's gonna go over this way. It doesn't come directly towards you. You can see that it's as it approaches, it's got this joy in its face of this malevolent kind of toying with you, the way that a cat and mouse interact. It's sort of almost like it's going around you to try and like cut you off from your escape. But as it gets there, it's going to reach out with both tentacles. You've learned now that it has a 10-foot reach on its tentacles. Oh, I'm also at the end of your turn. I'm also going to roll another 22 plus 2 because of your forest modifier. As you run back this way, running for your life from this creature, you see an odd little creature just sitting in the crook of this tree near the base of it. Kind of looks like a chubby child. He's about 2 feet tall. He's about 2 feet tall, and he's dressed in green. Most of his clothes seem to be made of materials that you would find in a forest. He's got a little green, almost like dungarees. And he's sitting back and watching you with amusement on his face. He's got auburn curls in his hair and a clean-shaven face that's kind of chubby and a little bit baby-faced. He's sort of like he looks like a mix between a pixie and a cherub. And he's just watching, interested in how it's going on. You notice this right as the tentacles come in from this massive beast that comes to attack you in the back. So that is going to be a 13 to hit, which is exactly what he needed to hit. And with the second one, that's a nat 1. This guy's rolled 2 nat 1s now. One against the bees and one against you. You guys are lucky. Alright, it is first the one that hit you is 4 plus 4. That was crap on the damage dice as well. So that's 4 plus 4 is 8 points of damage to you, as you get hit by 8 points of bludgeoning and piercing combined. You take 8 points of damage. Does Mel's militia get an attack of opportunity? Yes, it does. Thank you. Yes, it does, because he left its space. Their attack of opportunity is a 4 plus 3 is 7, not enough to hit. So they try and strike at him, but his hide is just too strong at that moment. They didn't manage to get a full purchase down into his... They didn't burrow down like ticks and fleas down into his coat, so that when he moved away, they didn't get displaced. No pun intended. Alright, so that was its 2 attacks and its movement. That's all it can do. It is now Mel's turn. So at the top of Mel's turn, I will roll who it is that's going to get the next chance to go. Bushido Geek. Bushido Geek, can you make a little note in the comments, a little acknowledgement? Yes, sweet. You have all of Mel's turn to decide what it is that we're going to do on the next turn of combat. It is now Mel's turn. Let's zoom out again. Mel is going to... She's used her once per day abilities, so she's now 20 feet up. She can get across to him and down again. You can basically drop for free. She's going to have to take 25 feet of movement to get to him, try and sting him. He has... Yeah, it's just been his turn, so she has disadvantage. Basically, Mel will always have disadvantage because she goes right after him. So with the disadvantage on the attack, that is a 7 or a 5. 5 plus her stinger ability is not going to be enough to hit him. So she sweeps down drops out of the sky. She gets that stinger out and she just passes right through his form.
Oh, he's not even there. Oh, Apis, oh no.
She is not expecting that, so she went from here. Oopsie daisy, calm down. She went from here over to there, didn't attack, and went back up again to there. That's 36. She's going to climb the extra 10 feet back up again, so she's now 10 feet up off the ground, 10 feet up from where he is, so 15 feet off the actual ground proper. As she leaves his melee range, technically 5, 10, yeah, technically she is just leaving his melee range. He's going to take an attack at her with his opportunity attack with his tentacle. That is definitely going to hit. And that's much better this time. 7 plus 4 is 11 points of damage to Mel. She is wounded. She's down to, well, everybody else I'm counting up, so I'll count up with her as well. So Mel gets struck in the back with one of these fleshy, rubbery tentacles.
That did not hurt. Oh, that hurt. Ow.
But at least she's out of his melee range now and she's up off the ground. That is the end of her turn. Hey Mel, why aren't you on? I thought I turned you on. No, there he is. Militia's turn. The militia are going to move 30 feet directly because they don't have to worry about terrain. Again, 30 feet's not quite enough to catch up to it because it moves 40 every time. So they're going to have to dash to get into its space. At least they're getting attacks of opportunity on it. Do we have Hunter's Mark left or no? We've not cast Hunter's Mark yet, and we've got 2 spell slots left, so we can cast Hunter's Mark if we want to. And that is the end of Mel's turn, and it is now back to Apis' turn. So Bushido Geek, it is now you. What are we doing? What's the plan of attack now that this thing is within a few feet of us? Mel is about 10 feet above our heads. If we run away, it gets an attack of opportunity, but it automatically misses if it wants. Well, I mean, it's technically already used its reaction anyway, so it would miss either way. It wouldn't get an attack of opportunity because it's used its reaction on Mel. No, you can cast spells as many times as you have spell slots for, so you can cast Cure Wounds 3 times if you want. We can't run anymore, it's too close. We can still run. We just wouldn't necessarily get away anymore. It's used its reaction on Mel, so unless it has more than 1 reaction per turn, which you don't know, then it's used it and it won't get another one. I'm going to say move towards this other creature we saw and keep Zephyr Strike up, take a bow shot, and if possible ask it for help. Alright, so we're shooting the other creature that we saw, or shooting the Displacer Beast? First you said move towards this other creature we saw, which is over here. That's 25 feet up there. The beast. And then turn and take keep the Zephyr Strike up, and then take a bow shot at the beast. It has not taken damage. Mel missed it. Yeah, Mel missed it. The militia missed it. So yeah, the militia didn't get an attack on it. So we are at disadvantage on the attack. Dash would force it to use its action to dash rather than attack. Potentially. Well, I'm counting up, not down. So Apis has taken 8 damage so far. 21 or an 8 to hit, and then damage of 5 either way. Right, gotcha. I'm getting it. So with an 8 to hit, unfortunately that does not hit. So we turn around and as we've gotten attacked, we run away. We turn around at the base of the tree that this little green creature's sitting in, and we shoot off towards it, and it shimmers, and our arrow goes missing straight past it. And then you said, Bushido Geek, you said that the last thing we're going to do is try and ask it for help. So we turn to this thing and say, are you just watching? Is there something you can do? You can help us, right? and the creature looks down at you and says,
I mean, theoretically, yes, I could help you. But then you wouldn't learn your lessons, would you? Don't worry, you'll be fine.
And that's all it says. Kind of just gestures back towards the beast. So that is the end of Apis's turn. You said you kept Zephyr Strike up, so no Hunter's Mark. So then now it is the Displacer Beast's turn. The Displacer Beast has not been hit since its last turn, so it's still got its Shimmering Pelt up, so it is now going to run over to you. This time it's got the movement to get like right behind you, like a pouncing cat. So it's gonna go to there. It's gonna skid round behind you, and it's gonna take a claw attack at you. As it leaves the melee range of Mel's Militia, they're going to take an attack of opportunity on it, but they have disadvantage because it hasn't taken damage since its last turn. So that's a nat 20 or a 17, so at least the 17 will still hit. And the Militia are not yet wounded, so they are going to do 2d4 plus 1 piercing damage. 2 ones. Has to come back around at some point. So 3 points of piercing damage to it. Every little helps. Don't know why that just jumped up there. But 3 points of piercing damage. There we go. It gets to you. It's going to use its action to take a multi-attack with 2 claw attacks on you. The first attack is rolling off the table lots. Oh, the first attack is a 9 total, so that's going to miss. The second attack is a 17 total, so that one's going to hit. So with its second of the 2 claw attacks, it's big old... Ooh, that's not too bad. That's 8 plus 4 is 12 points of slashing damage to Apis, taking us to 20 total damage, and we are now wounded, as we are less than half of our hit points. Takes 2 big striking claw attacks at you. Cuts pretty deep across one shoulder, and we cry out in pain. And you hear the creature up the tree going,
"Oh dear, that looked like it hurt."
That is the end of the Displacer Beast's turn. It is now, let's go with rolling up who's going to be next. Let's go with Cut. We just got Cut. C-U-T. Then it is the Mel's turn. It's our friend Mel. Oops. Let's turn everything on, not just the word. Thank you. Mel sees you getting hit pretty badly. She doesn't want to chicken out herself, so she's going to fly down towards it. She's going to get onto the other side of it because she can, because she's got that much speed. She's going to engage it, try and sting it, and she's going to stay within its melee range, so she doesn't get an attack on it. She has disadvantage because he's still got his Shimmering Pelt. That is a nat 20 or a 6. 6 plus 6 is 12, and his armor class is higher than that. So she glances her stinger right across his back, thinking that she's going to plunge it into his rear end pretty hard. I just heard it. If ever there was a moment to clip, Jesus Christ. I can't continue now. She fuck. Oh, what a choice of wording. Oh god. She is going to plunge her stinger into his muscular legs. And she plunges down through the illusory form of his body and just scratches across the surface of him. She almost hit him, but didn't manage to cause any damage. 69 viewers too. Nice. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. So she did her stinger attack. That's all she can do. She's out of things now. That is Mel's turn. It is now the Militia's turn. So let's roll up who is going to go next. Who's going to go next? It is Doc Barstool. Can I get acknowledgement that you're in the chat? Doc Barstool, ayo! Alright, so you have to start thinking about what you're going to do. It's the Militia's turn, and then it's you. Alright. the militia is going to fly, fly, fly in its usual form. It's getting 30 feet, and then it's going to have to dash to get on top of him. So at least they're taking attacks of opportunity and like distracting him, but they're not actually managing to get any attacks themselves because they can't move as fast as he can. Then that's everything that the militia can do, I believe. So then it's back up to the top of the round with Apis. That's Apis. Alright, it is Doc Barstool. You're up. You decide what exactly is going to happen. You've got this little pixie cherub fella that's in greenery with a clean-shaven, chubby baby face and a long kind of crooked nose, long pointed ears and auburn curls. And he's sitting up in the crook of a tree about 15, 20 feet up. And he's just watching you and tutting and judging and things. We're taking a ride, people. You've got a Displacer Beast, 6-legged panther that's attacking you from one side. You've got a giant bee companion that's trying to attack it from the other side. You and her are both wounded. We don't know anything about why this beast's out of its territory. It just turned up in the woods and started to attack us, and we don't have time to decide, what's happening. Or why. All you know is that this creature, when we asked it for help, said I could theoretically help, but then you wouldn't be learning your lessons. The bee can definitely not carry us, no. She's the size of a pot-bellied pig, and we are a dwarf. We are a big, stocky dwarf. Like we're 4.5 feet tall and a stocky dwarf. We can carry her, but she can't carry us. We're planar first and then we attack, is that what you mean? Planar warrior thing? So we haven't learned how to do planar warrior yet. So what you do is, as this cat is shouting at us, let's run directly behind the gnome. The gnome is 20 feet up on a tree, if you remember from like a minute ago when I described that. You shout up, what lessons are we trying to learn? And the guy says,
well, the gentleman tells me you're a horizon walker. So, use it.
And you're utterly confused as you're like fending off the claws of this warrior with your bow, because that's all you've got out at the moment. You're just like hitting them to the side.
He goes, you've got abilities, right? With planes, you can jump between them without needing gateways, right?
Adventurer joins the team.
So use the energy you've been given. Do it. Just use the energies. Use the energies of the planes, the planar gateways and things.
And you are utterly confused. You're not sure how to do what it is that he's saying you suggest to do. So you've not yet learned how to do the planar warrior thing. So what are you going to do instead? Apis uses the skills to produce yellow snow. Run and attack. Alright. So I need a concentration check from Apis when they took the damage to see if they still concentrating on Zephyr Strike, right? They took 8 damage the first time and I forgot to roll it at that point. So concentration check. Actually, I can do it on here, can I? Saving Constitution. So that's a nat 1 plus 2. So we are going to no longer have Zephyr Strike up unless we want to horseshoe that. We can horseshoe. We can horseshoe right now if we want to try and maintain concentration on Zephyr Strike. This is the first of 2 attacks that were on us. What do you guys think? Horseshoe? Yay or nay? Vote. Cast your vote in the chat, yes or no. Should we use the horseshoe to re-roll that Constitution fail? No. A lot of people saying no. Alright, so our Zephyr Strike is no longer active. We have lost concentration on it. So if, Doc Barstool, if we were to run away right now, without casting Zephyr Strike again, if we were to run away now, we would get an attack of opportunity from the Displacer Beast. Do you wish to do so or not? No, we don't want to run away. Okay, so what are we going to do instead then? We can run away after casting Zephyr Strike, because then it can't hit us. We can run away and just tank the attack, or we can disengage and then run away. Rope restrain. All right. So let me get out the rope. Rope of entanglement. Here it is. Blah blah blah. If you hold one end of the rope and use an action to speak its command word, the other end darts forward to entangle a creature you can see within 20 feet of you. The target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or become restrained. So Doc Barstool said we're going to use the rope to restrain it. I wanted to do something creative, but I just can't think. It's appropriate. I mean, you're getting attacked by a giant cat. It's understandable that you're like, oh no, I don't know what to do. So you just reach down, you grab your rope, and you frantically try and remember the Elvish word that activates it. And then eventually it comes to you, Fruinga! And it comes to you, and this rope darts forward and tries to wrap around the creature. That is, on his part, for his dexterity save, a very good one. Unfortunately for you, that is literally one more than he needed. So unfortunately the rope darts forward, but this cat is very dexterous, very lithe, very nimble with its 6 legs. It wraps around one of its legs, but he manages to pull himself free, and he stamps down on top of the rope before it can manage to restrain. So that was your action to do so. Unfortunately, he succeeded with a 16 dexterity saving throw. You've still got your movement, Doc Barstool, and you've still got your bonus action. So at this point, you could still cast Zephyr Strike as a bonus action and still move with your movement, and you'd be able to move without getting an attack of opportunity. You could also bonus action cast Hunter's Mark so that you're doing more damage when you hit it. It's up to you. Zephyr Strike and run. All right. So with a second use of the spell, let's have a look. Where are you? Spellberry. Another spell is used up as Apis once again casts Zephyr Strike on themselves. You summon the power from the gods, and the little creature up the tree says,
"Oh, is this it?"
"Oh, no."
Well, that's something at least.
And then you feel everything slow down a little bit, and you start to. Oh, all right, maybe not. Control Z. That's me clicking on the OBS instead of on the Roll20. You move away with your movement, and because you're moving so goddamn fast like the wind, you can get away without an attack of opportunity from it. 25 feet gets you to there. That was your bonus, your action, and your movement. That is the end of Apis's turn. It's now the Displacer Beast's turn. As you run, the guy says,
"It's not what I meant. Use the force between the planes, the force field, the energy, the force of the energy that makes up the planes. Use it. Like you have access to you can create portals to step through. Why are you not using it?"
And you're like, "I don't know what you mean. I've only done it by accident before." Just sighs as you run away. Then it is the Displacer Beast's turn, so we will go to this one and we will say exclamation mark. I don't want anything to portal. Exclamation mark portal. As he shouts, you can use portals. You can create portals of your own. Why aren't you using that energy? Exclamation mark PORTAL. It is now the Displacer Beast's turn. You are its primary quarry, but you've run away and it's getting scratched and stabbed by these things. So it is first going to try and take out these irritating bugs around it. So one attack is going to be the tentacle strike on the bugs. That's going to be a 19 plus stuff. That'll definitely hit. And then let's see how much damage it does first, because it might go for them again. That's going to be 8 plus 4 is 12 points of damage to the bugs. 12 points takes them to 18. 18 is more than what they have. Oh, no, halved. What did I say? 12 halved to 6. 6 points takes them to 12. They are now looking bloodied, which means that more than half of them have gone. Is he going to take an attack, final attack on Mel maybe? Mel's the big bugger that's... No, he's going to go for the bugs, the irritating little bugs around in his face, and he's going to try and finish them off. He's going to go for a claw strike down through the air to try and hit those. A 16 plus stuff, that'll hit. That is 7 plus 4 is 11, halved to 6. 6 points takes them to 18, is more than what they had left. So with that, he manages to catch a bunch of them in his mouth and in his claws, and then the rest of them disperse.
It's a raid!
A raid from Spidey NZ, party of 10. Thank you very much, Spidey, for the raid. How did the rest of the mini painting go? If you guys haven't checked out Spidey NZ yet, he's a fantastic mini painter. He was painting a red dragon for me earlier today. He has also been responsible for everything you see here, well, except for the Roll20 stuff, but like all of this and all of the stuff way over there. Like, he's the one who put together all the initiative trackers and the spell slots and all of the rest of it. Oh, I accidentally turned on initiative. Accidentally turned on an inspiration when I turned Apis off and on again earlier. You don't have inspiration, not yet. At the end of the Displacer Beast's turn, technically it's got movement still. Is it going to try and chase you down now? Yes, it is. It's going to chase you down. So it leaves Mel's attack range, and it's coming for you. It's going to go around. It's going to start... can you see that? It's just gone off the screen. It's going to go around and cut you off again. You can swear that you, in its like growling deep within its throat, you can almost hear this laughing sound. As it ran away from Mel got an attack of opportunity on it with disadvantage because nobody's hit it yet. So 16 or 18. So 16 plus stuff will still hit. Mel's damage is a d6 piercing damage. That's 6 there. 6 points of piercing, and it needs to make a con save. 6 points of piercing, and it needs to make a con save against Mel's venom, as she finally manages to get this goddamn sting into it. It makes the con save, unfortunately, so it only takes half as much. 7 halved to 4. Taking him to 47. Alright, and with that, he's starting to look bloodied. So as he runs away, he gets stabbed from behind, and the guy goes, "Oh, watch out! He's coming your way. Better duck down deep within you. I'm sure you can find it." No, you don't have to use the bonus on the round you cast it. It's just at some point in the 10 rounds that you have it concentrate, or until you lose concentration on it. At some point, you can use that secondary ability. So you want to use it before you lose concentration. So it is now upon you. That is the end of the Displacer's turn. And it is the start of Mel's turn. I'm going to draw who is next up on the initiative. We chose Portal, didn't we? Exclamation mark Portal. Miss Bowman, you are going to be up after Mel's turn. Start thinking about what you want to do. In the meantime, it is Mel's turn, and she can't summon another swarm. She can't use her soporific spores anymore, so she's got a stinger, and that's all she can do. So she is going to do it best as she can. She uses her movement to fly up and over onto the other side of it. She manages to get there within 50 feet. She is no longer... I should take the wings off because she's no longer up in the air. She's down on his level now. She's going to take an attack with her wings. He got his shimmering back at the end of his turn. So she now takes an attack with disadvantage. A 15 or a 17. So she's going to hit again. Here we go, Mel. She's bringing it back around. Everything's coming up Mel now. That is a 7 points of piercing. And I'll add that on now. 7 points of piercing takes him to that. He makes a con save. That is a 17, so he succeeds on his con save again. He takes only half of the venom, which is 6 halved to 3. Takes another 3 points of venom. Fill him with the venom and eliminate him. He's still looking wounded. He's not looking like he's enjoying this goddamn bee that's behind him, but he's more focused on taking down you. You're the more interesting prey. It now loses its displacing. Thank you, Ajo. Yeah, it loses its displacing shimmering ability. As he screams like a cat being stepped on, he suddenly loses his displacing ability, and you can see exactly where he is in front of you. I can close down Mel's militia now because that's all gone. That was Mel's attack and movement. That's all she can do. It is now back to the top of Apis's turn with Miss Bowman. Yes, Miss Bowman. So what are you doing, Miss Bowman? At the top of your turn, the little dude in the tree. Let's have a look. Is he still there? He's like climbed along towards the edge of a branch so that he can still see, and he's like leaning down now on his arms like this, and he's like,
what I'm trying to say is that you can call on the energies of the portals that you create. If you just think about it, just try it.
So if you wanted to use your bonus action to do your whatever it's called, your planar warrior ability, you can at least attempt it now, but it will require a check of some kind. It will use your bonus action to attempt it, and it won't necessarily work. But this is you practicing, trying to work out what the hell this creature is and what it's trying to tell you about this thing. So Miss Bowman, where are you? No ideas. No ideas from others. You guys, you're in control. You decide. We'll try the planar warrior. So you're listening to this thing, like you're not sure whether you can take it down before it takes you down at this rate. So you focus on like trying to work out what the hell it's talking about. That you open portals. You've never opened a portal. You don't even remember the time you opened a portal. You just remembered you didn't even have a memory of it at all until recently when you had a dream where the memory came back to you of you walking into the darkness near Diggon's temple, and you ended up in like this dreary, weird place where it definitely wasn't the woods. And then you turned round to go back, and you ended up in an even more bright, colourful, saturated forest that you later heard was probably the Feywild. But you didn't know how you got there or what. And you try and think about what was happening for you at that moment. It was fear. You were scared. You were scared that there was something outside your tent, and you'd brought your best friend, who wasn't a fighter. She wasn't a capable warrior. You brought Lokara to the forest, and you put her in danger, and you were frightened in that moment as well, thinking like, I've got to find whatever it is that's in this forest and make sure that it's benevolent or at least not malevolent. And you think, well, if I was frightened then and I managed to open a portal, I'm frightened now. Like maybe there's something in it. Maybe I can. And for the first time, you kind of do feel a sense of tingling across your skin. Not for the first time that you've felt it, but for the first time that you've acknowledged that this tingling that you feel from time to time might actually be something that's a little unique to you. I'm going to roll a check for you now. I'm going to roll... It's going to be a wisdom... it's going to be a straight wisdom check. It does not pertain to being in the forest, so you don't get an add anything to that. So you feel this sort of sense of goosebumps across your skin. The hairs are all standing on end and they're prickly. Like you're feeling like a prickly kind of this static electricity across the surface of a balloon kind of feeling. And this sense happens from time to time when you just at random. And sometimes like a shiver runs down your spine and you're not sure why. And you've always just thought it was just one of those things. Just everybody probably experiences it. But you think for the first time that maybe this is what he's talking about. Maybe that feeling is something to do with this ability to open portals. But in that moment, you don't know how to utilize that. You don't know how to what it even means to use that feeling, that power. That you've no idea what that means. And so, at this stage, you won't be able to use your bonus action for your planar warrior. So you have your action and your movement left, Miss Bowman. What is it that you wish to do with them? How far away from the beast are you? Like touching range. It's like you're right up next to it. This is adjacent, as you can see here. No, attacking planar didn't drop Zephyr because you're still concentrating on the spell of Zephyr at the back of your mind, but you were just trying to understand cognitively what the hell this guy was even talking about. Yeah, the militia unfortunately did not make it, Sai. The Displacer Beast decided to take 2 of its actions to just take this thing out. We have Zephyr Strike, so run and shoot, I guess. Rinse and repeat. Yep. Alright, so which way are you going to run? Are you going to run like past it this way, past the tree? Are you going to run back towards this little dude here? Or back over this way? Or down here, past this rock? We also, not only do we have Zephyr Strike, but we also have the additional bonus of Zephyr Strike, being that we can choose to give ourselves advantage on an attack. Do we want to use that now? Back towards the dude. So you can just use your running if you want, just your regular 25 feet of movement. But you could also give yourself advantage on the attack. 25 feet gets us to about there. We can use the advantage on the attack thing. Yeah, you're gonna do that. All right. So as you run, you're feeling like this slow motion kind of thing starting up again in your mind as you're trying to focus in on what the hell he means by using this force ability, this force field, this energy that comes from the origins of the universe. You're not sure what he's talking about, but everything sort of slows down in your mind as you run. And you turn around, draw another arrow as you run, and you aim backwards, and you release it just at the moment where I think the displacer got hurt on Mel's turn, didn't it? So it's not got a thing, right? Is that correct? I'm pretty sure it's been hurt. So it has advantage. You have advantage on the attack. You see it striking back as in pain as Mel struck it from behind. Its one tentacle whipped out at you as you ran off, and then it turns around and it's going to try and start clawing at Mel, and you see the opportunity right behind its head to take an attack with advantage. So let's say 15 or a 16. With a 16, that will definitely hit, and you do the. Oh, sorry, I should have rolled the attack with advantage. Attack this longbow. 20, yeah, 21. Either way, we're going to work. That's 9 points of damage, and then we also roll a d8 for another 2 points of damage. So 11 points of damage total to this Displacer Beast. Takes it to 68. It's still standing. That was our Zephyr Strike ability as a bonus action. Just as a free action to give ourselves the ability. And now we've got another 30 feet of movement. Which way do you want to run, Miss Bowman? We've got 30 feet of movement. We can get to just the other side, just the other edge of this this golden ring. We can run through these trees up here. We can run over this one here. We can run over this way here. I'm adding up currently, Bushido Geek, because I'm not going to start by telling you it's full HP and then showing you getting it lower. I'm adding it up, and that way you don't actually know what the maximum is. Why can't Apis climb trees? I mean, you can if you want to. It's just you're going to try and climb a tree when this panther's chasing you. You can certainly try. Go 3 o'clock. Alright, we're going this way. So with 30 feet of movement, we run back across this way. And we get to about there-ish. He said as you run past him, take this shot and run, everything sort of slows down, but you realise that the guy up in the tree hasn't, and he says, "I thought you were so close just then. I could feel it. I could feel you were feeling out where the energies were, but then you let it go. It's gonna kill you if you don't get it, you know." And then you run away, like thinking that guy's just not being helpful. All right, that is everything that you can do, I believe, Miss Bowman. So I will show us all off. There we go, so we can see everything. I'll get back into here, and we'll go with exclamation mark planar for our planar warrior ability. That's exclamation mark PLANAR. But for now, it is the Displacer Beast. The Displacer Beast is not liking the venom and injections that they've just been getting from Dr. Mel, and so they are going to take the first attack against Mel. Yeah, first attack against Mel. It's going to be a... Ooh, this isn't... Should we... Maybe it grabs her, because then it doesn't get an attack of opportunity when it runs. Yeah, it's going to use a bite attack on her. So it can't multi-attack with a bite, so instead it's just going to get the one attack. Its attack is going... Stay on the table. Go somewhere where I can actually see you. Thank you. That's a 16 plus stuff. That is going to hit. Its bite attack is going to do a D10 plus 4 of damage. That is a 3 plus 4 is 7 damage. So 11 plus 7 takes her to 18. She is not yet dead. She's looking heavily badly wounded though, as it bites down into her, and she is grappled. She is grappled while ever this bite continues, and that way he can move without taking an attack of opportunity on her. He's going to run through the trees back towards you. And your cherub in the tree says, "Oh dear, your allies are dropping like flies, pun intended. Better work out how to use your powers, otherwise, well, let's say the gentleman will be disappointed." And then it is Mel's turn. That is the Displacer Beast done. It is Mel's turn. Mel comes into the initiative there. She's got no militia anymore. What can she do? She's going to try and stab him from inside of his mouth, or she can try and break the grapple. It is way stronger than she is, so she knows she isn't going to wriggle out of this grapple. So she's going to have to just stab instead. She's going to try and bring the claw around, and she's going to try and stab it. She has disadvantage because it's got a shimmering pelt and she's in its mouth, so you know it's harder to do that. That is a 3 or a 7. So with a 3, unfortunately, that will miss. With her disadvantage, she's in a lot of pain, and she tries to sting it in the face, but she just can't bring her sting around enough to get the right purchase. And you, as Apis, you turn and see Mel being like ragdolled almost around by this pig. Obviously, it's not. She's not entirely in its mouth because she's the size of a pig. It's a panther eating a potbelly pig. Effectively, he's grabbed her by like the side, near the neck, or where she would have a neck if she had a neck, instead of a craniothorax. Is that what they have? And then he is going to, he drags her across through the forest to you. I believe that's all that Mel can do. So now it is over to Apis. Did I draw it? I forgot to draw it, didn't I? Oh well. Marie, you are up. Would not she have straight roll being in its mouth connected to it physically? Does displacement cheat that possibility? She would have had I would have probably given a disadvantage for being grappled by it in its mouth. But also she had disadvantage anyway because of the shimmering pelt. So Marie, sorry I didn't give you a heads up. I forgot to draw it between the turns. But it is now your turn. This little shit up in the tree is you shout that out at the start of your turn. If I figure this bloody thing out, you teasing little shit, will you help me? And he bursts out laughing.
I've been called worse. Of course, that's why the gentleman sent me. I've got to help you figure this thing out. He needs your help, so, well, in as much as he ever needs anyone's help, but, he'd like to see you learn your abilities a little faster than you are doing on your own. So feel it out. Feel it. You can do it. Probably.
Alright, so if you wish to, on your turn as a bonus action, you can attempt Planar Warrior again. It's up to you, Mary. You can choose to use your bonus action for whatever you want it to, but if you want to, you can choose to attempt Planar Warrior. It's your turn. You're in control of Apis right now. I have to see if Mel, she's going to die. I'm going to die at this rate. It's taken so many hits to get this far. I have to figure this out. So what's that? What does that mean then? You're going to try to figure it out? You're going to use your bonus action to try and figure it out? Oh, it's so close. How does this work? As you focus in on this feeling again, this fear, this adrenaline that you thought you were putting it down to just the adrenaline of the moment, the reason your entire skin feels like it's prickling with heat. You instead focus in on what could this be? Could this be the energies of the universe? And then in that moment, you are taken back to a childhood story that your mum read you once, Eldeth. She read you about, it was sort of an origin story of the world as people knew it, and how the different planes were thought to have come to be. And the Feywild and the material realm were almost mirrors of one another. And the outer planes, the inner planes, the fire planes within the inner planes, the fire planes, the earth planes, the other elemental planes, they all blend into chaos, and then from those different elements the material realm was made. But between all of these different realms, they were just created out of what people thought was just nothing, but they later found out it was pure magic. It was magic in its purest form. It was known as just force. And with him saying, try and force it, try and focus on this force, this energy, you realize that that's what he's talking about. He's talking about the building block of the entire universe. Pure magic. Magic in its purest elemental form is just this crackling potential that is in everything and everyone. And so you focus on this magic, this feeling of this tingling amongst you. And then a little voice appears behind you which makes you jump up momentarily. And you realise that he has disappeared from his branch and is now just hovering in the air behind you. As he says, I can see that you feel it. I don't feel it, but I know you do. That's what I'm talking about. Use it. I'm going to make another check. Then we have advantage on this one. Alright, so a dirty 20. And Apis just trusts themselves. They don't really fully understand what they mean, but they just trust themselves. As they bring forward that bow, they draw back the bowstring and they feel that crackling energy increase across their body, down their forearms and into their hands. And we are using successfully for the first time ever Planar Warrior. We're drawing in the energy of the multiverse to augment our attacks. As a bonus action, we're choosing one creature that we can see within 30 feet of us, and the next time that we hit that creature on this turn with a weapon attack, all the damage dealt by the attack will become force damage rather than piercing damage, and the creature will take an extra d8 force damage from the attack. We draw back the bowstring and we fire. Use the force, Apis. We have the high ground. I was trying so hard not to say use the force, and I said it like once or twice there, but it seems to work. So we can take an attack. Now, has the Displacer still got its ability up or not? I can't remember. Mel didn't hit it in its mouth, so yes, it's still got its ability. So we have disadvantage on this attack. So let's go. Let's try it. Attack Dis. Longbow. And let's fingers crossed, everybody. With a disadvantage, that is a 10 to hit. Do we wish to use our horseshoe or not? Do we wish to re-roll? Horseshoe, horseshoe, horseshoe. Dead Aussie Gamer, I also love Displacer Beasts. They're one of my favourite beasts. Horseshoe, horseshoe, all or nothing, all or nothing. Yes, yes, yes. Everybody's saying yes. Most people are saying yes, with the exception of Doc Barstool. Everyone else is saying yes. So we're going to lucky horseshoe that. So I will re-roll it. So we've got a 16 or, I'm re-rolling the lower of the disadvantage there. God, I hope this hits. Attack, longbow. That is a 22 to hit. All right. So with disadvantage, that becomes a 16 or a 22. 16 will hit. And the damage from that first attack would have been 9. 9 damage plus a d8. We're going to roll an extra d8. Roll d8. That is a 3, so 9 plus 3 is 12 points of damage, and all of it becomes force damage, which doesn't matter for this particular creature, but for most creatures that would mean that it's not going to get any resistance or anything to it. So what was that? That's 12, did I say? 9 plus 3, 12 points of damage takes it to 80. As we loose the arrow, instantly we see the arrow just disappear. It seems to just it doesn't go anywhere. It seems like it disappears into another realm. And for the first time, we see a glimpse of the ethereal plane as the arrow turns grey. And then the rest of it almost exuding out from the arrow in a wake, in a cone of energy behind the arrow. Everything turns grey. It seems to slow down almost as it aims for the eyes of this Displacer Beast that is now ragdolling our bee companion around. The arrow moves with purpose and accuracy as we see it passing through the planes of existence, through the barriers. And then colour suddenly snaps back to the world as it impacts right above the zygomatic bone into one of the Displacer Beast's eyes, who screams out in pain, opening its mouth wide enough to drop Mel out of it. The Displacer Beast hits the ground pretty damn hard, and then scrambles back to its feet and turns to start running away. It is not yet dead, but we've done significant enough damage to it now that it's going to flee. It was all force damage. The arrow seemed to snap back into reality just at the moment that it actually impacted. And we have effectively succeeded on this combat, unless we want to continue after it. That was a cool turn. We used our bonus action to plane a warrior. We used our action to attack. We've got a movement left. I believe Marie, you're still up on the in the choice order, so you can choose whether or not to move. Do you want to move anywhere, Marie? Displace a beast meat for the village. Yeah, maybe. I want to talk to the little prick. Yeah, but do you want to move anywhere? You've got movement left of your turn. If you just move up to it, then if it does run away, you'll get an attack of opportunity on it, unless it disengages. You know from how it was acting that it had a level of intelligence to it. Like, it was not just a predatory beast. It was intelligent, and there was an air of malevolence to it. It was enjoying the sport of the hunt. It seemed, yeah, from the strike, it was definitely taken to the point where it's like you can see from your abilities with animal handling, you're familiar with animals of the forest enough to know when one is running for its life, and it's now taking on that sort of body language that it's about to start running. If we kill this, we don't have to kill another. We were out hunting for something to eat. Got no interest in going after it. So Apis gives up on the rest of their movement then. A lot of Apis' mind doesn't feel good about letting it go though. So Apis is conflicted. But at the moment, Apis turns their attention instead to the little dude who says, "Yeah, kind of like that," and then disappears. To another plane. Then it is the Displacer Beast's turn, who is going to disengage from Mel because it doesn't want to get stung to death, and it is going to run as fast as it can. You can't catch me. I'm the Displacer Beast man. What was that? 40 feet gets it to about the log. Disengaged as an action. It got to there. Then it is, I suppose technically, because Apis is still so conflicted, we should !chase, just in case anybody else, the next person really basically is, the choice is basically, do we go after it or not? !chase if you want to make the decision. !chase if you want the decision to whether Apis would go after it or not. The Displacer Beast ran away. Mel is not going to give chase because she is so close to death herself, so she is going to buzz back and forth kind of over, and she's going to land on this stump here, and she's got some bleeding wounds from her body. She's going to effectively take the dodge action just in case of anything else happening. Then it's back to Apis' turn, and we'll roll it. Asmiel, what do you think we should do? Should we give chase? Should we not? We can, with our movement, you can see we can get to the edge of this thing where we can still see it, and then we can attack it again. We can even try our Planar Warrior again. It's an unlimited thing. As a bonus action, you choose a creature within 30 feet. You have to be within 30 feet of it. And then you can try and attack it again to finish it off. We have one spell slot left. That's what that little berry down there means. Underneath the spells, you can see our little berries. So we have one spell slot left. It is running away. Apis did get the sense that this creature was toying with it for fun. It was somewhat malevolent. It had the intelligence that a cat of its size would not normally do. Cure Wounds is an action. So if you cured Mel, then you wouldn't also be able to chase after this the Displacer Beast on this turn. So Apis was out here hunting for an animal to kill and take back to the village. They got attacked by this Displacer Beast. The Displacer Beast is now running away, and your friend is injured. So it's really up to you, whichever one you want to do. It's Asmiel's turn. Asmiel gets to pick. Do we finish off the Displacer Beast before it gets out of here, so that we can then take that back to the village and feast on it and what have you, or do we let it go and tend to Mel instead?
My perception is 24. I see you following me.
heal the beast, make friends. Could try and chase it down and cast Cure Wounds on the beast. I want to shoot another arrow with Planar Warrior, but not continue the chase. Alright, so in order to decide where, in order to be able to hit it, you step out of behind the tree here so you can see it retreating. I'm going to roll another Wisdom check. The DC is a lot lower now because you've done it once before. The DC is not that low, but with advantage, just like last time. 2 + 2. No, unfortunately, you've done it once before, but in the moment you're still like the elation has overtaken the adrenaline of the fear, and so you don't feel the same sort of prickly sensation over your skin, and you don't feel like you can do it again. You try it again, but then you let off a loose arrow, and we're gonna attack it. It hasn't taken damage since its last go, so it has its Displacer ability back. Attack longbow. 26 to hit, 8 damage. It had 5 left. So as the arrow flies, you try and focus in on this planar ability, this focusing in the energy, but it's just not happening. You let loose the arrow, but it flies true and straight all the same. And as it climbs up onto the log, you see the log shift just at the before the image of the displacer has even gotten to the log shifts under the weight of something, and you realize right at the last second where the displacer actually is. You turn and you aim, and you hit with an arrow right in the back end of this thing. That suddenly the image catches up to where it actually was, and it goes down hard on the log, slides to the side, and is an Displacer Beast. Very good. As you strike this thing out, you look up to the tree. You look up to the tree and you see sitting back on the tree again is your little friend, who didn't actually disappear. He just teleported himself back up onto the tree, and he goes, "Right, merciless, huh? Cool. So what do you do now? We're out of combat order. We are back to normal order. We've got a dead displacer and a wounded friend. We've got one more spell slot if we wanted to cast Cure Wounds, either on ourselves or on Mel. We have taken 20 out of 38 hit points, and Mel has taken 18 out of whatever she's got. So who thinks Cure Wounds with the last spell slot? A lot of people are saying Cure Wounds on Mel. Who's okay with doing Cure Wounds on Mel? Say yes or no. Should we cast Cure Wounds on Mel? Yes or no? I should make an emote of just like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, shouldn't I? Something like that. A gauntleted hand or something. Alright. No, I don't need to do a poll. I do a poll if the general consensus is not obvious, but in situations where the consensus is clear. So we wander over to Mel, being quite familiar with the Cure Wounds spell now. We've done it a number of times. We focus in on Flonanshale, the goddess of healing, and we ask for her guidance as we move our hand towards Mel's wounds. And we cast our last spell slot of the day. I got a 4 plus our wisdom modifier of 2, so Mel recovers 6 hit points. There we go. So she gets down. Well, she goes to 12, doesn't she? 12 of her total. She's taken 12 damage, so she is actually still wounded. Give her a pat on the bum, on the stripy bum above the stinger, and we cure up a bunch of the superficial wounds that were caused by the ragdolling and the big sharp teeth, but we don't finish her up to fine. She's still injured. what is it that you wish to do now? We've got a little bit of time left. To wrap up the episode. What is it you want to do? Who feels like they know what we should do at this point? Collect the pelt, take the pelt, get the pelt. A lot of people are saying get the pelt. Take the meat, take it home. Yep. All right. So Apis being a hunter and being a bit of an animal lover, doesn't like to kill things unless they have to, and if they have to, they like to make use of everything. Every part of the animal has to be made use of. Waste not, want not. Apis doesn't like anything to go to waste, so they head over to the Displacer Beast, ignoring the dude in the tree for now. And you get out your short sword, which you kind of use like a hunting knife for times, and you're gonna try and well, this beast is going to be much too heavy for you to lug back to the camp as is. So you're going to try and skin it now, and then head back with the skin and come back. Or are you going to try and store it somewhere and get somebody to come and help you lug the entire thing back to the camp? Because if you try and skin it and then you're leaving the flesh open, I don't know. How are we gonna do it? Like, we could spend like a couple of hours like trying to skin it and take the skin back. And pull it up into the tree with our rope. Yeah, we could definitely do that. Send Mel back to Dolby Nillawad to ask for help. We definitely could do that. Yeah. Take the beast whole. Find someone who knows how to skin it. Yeah, we ain't. I'm saying, Sparrow, you're not lugging this beast back. Like it's a large creature, meaning it's like takes up like 10 feet on the battlefield. It's much bigger than you are. Imagine like something the size of a small horse. And it's very muscular. Muscle weighs a lot. Is there any risk to Mel if there's... I mean, there's risk to everything we do, but in this situation, you haven't come across anything that would be a risk to Mel as yet. Like, you were out hunting with Mel happily. We'll say that you can send Mel easy enough, like she can fly. You've healed her up enough that she's easily capable of flying above the treetops, making a beeline for Adolbin Iluwath, and she'll be able to bring some help out to you. So you do that. You start to skin as you send Mel back as a messenger to be like somebody. You can speak to somebody there. I'm sure somebody will be able to speak Sylvan to you. Find somebody that can speak to you or understands your meaning, and bring them back in this direction. Tell them what we found. And so she sets off, and the little guy he just watches as you start set to starting to skin this thing. I'm going to roll a survival check. It doesn't. I don't think this pertains to being in a forest. Like you've skinned things in a forest before, but it doesn't have anything to do with being in a forest. So you don't add your +2 onto this one. It's just a straight survival check. An 11 total, which is just above what a normal average person would get. You try and skin this thing, but the first thing you notice is that it's quite difficult, because as you're like moving, as you're skinning it, as you're trying to cut through it, almost like a residual effect as it's being manipulated, it's starting to shine and like move itself from side to side. Which is really disorienting as you're trying to cut it. It's kind of like, one of those suede pillows or something that if you rub it one way or rub it the other way, like all the different strands of the suede or whatever, it catches the light in different ways and looks darker or looks lighter. You can see where you've rubbed it. It's kind of doing that, but on like a much larger scale, where it's actually displacing from where it is to where it should be, kind of thing. Where it is to where it isn't. And so as you're manipulating this cat, as you're moving it, you're finding this leftover residual effect of its displacement, and it's very disorienting as you're cutting it. So you're making your way through it, but you've not done a good job, and it's definitely put a good few holes into it in places that it shouldn't really have holes. Maybe it should skin it with eyes closed. Yeah, maybe. As you're skinning, this guy in the tree starts to talk to you. He says, "So,
It's Apis, isn't it? And you ignore him. So what does it feel like? Flies down to you. Lands next to you. What's it feel like to be a horizon walker?
I wouldn't know. I've never been anything else.
Good. Good answer. You feel like a freak?
You just turn and look at him. He smiles, a sort of mischievous smile.
You are a freak.
You're very rare, you know. If you're not going to help me, you can piss off.
I mean, I just helped you. I helped you more than you'll ever know. Might have taken you years to learn that on your own. But we really could do with your assistance at some point. And so the gentleman wants you to quicken the process through which you learn these things. You're not really learning quickly enough for his liking. And well, he's got things that he'd like from you, so he sent me. Pretty lucky timing as well. This thing might have taken you out otherwise. So what's the plan for now then? You help the town with the goblins and the ogre and that? What's your plan from here?
You've been watching me.
Well, we've been watching you.
What do you want?
What do I want? Or what do we want? What I want is just to have fun. I like a bit of fun. This was quite fun. You almost died.
Who's we? We who?
Well, the gentleman, for the most part. But the gentleman and his cohort.
Who does he work with?
Well, who works with him? Me. A bunch of fairies, pixies, sprites, blink dogs. You know, fae.
How many gentlemen are there?
Well, I mean, he's one of a kind. But there's a few more like him.
That doesn't make sense.
I know. He's unique in most aspects, but there's more like him in other aspects.
I explained, Ajo, that the survival wouldn't add the 2 because it has nothing to do with being in a forest. We're just skinning an animal. It was the check to see how well we can skin an animal. It's not affected by our being in a forest. Why are you watching me?
Because you're special, unique. And because we had a little arrangement a while ago that I don't think you quite remember. So I've been interested in your progression.
I accept this quest. Unskippable cutscene. Last time we used our Horizon abilities was in Diggon's Temple. It's Diggon the gentleman you keep mentioning. Last time we used our portaling abilities things, we ended up in the Feywild and we met with a man that was called Diggon. He smiles. Is Diggon this gentleman you're talking about?
It's one of his names, yeah.
What are some other names?
He's got thousands. Call him whatever you like.
Do you know something of this threat that the villagers are facing?
I don't think I know what you mean.
I'm going to roll an insight check on your behalf here. Skill insight. 16 total. With 16, he's a little hard to read because you've not met somebody of his species before. You're not exactly sure what he is. But you know that he seemed, at least, genuinely confused when you asked like what this threat is that they're facing. Just keep calling him dickhead then. Why doesn't Apis remember? Why don't I remember meeting him? Don't you? So it was a memory, not a dream. Nods his head. Why didn't I remember meeting him until then? Well, a number of reasons. Firstly, things that go on in the Feywild tend to stay in the Feywild for the most part. But also, things that the gentleman doesn't want you to remember, he generally won't remember. So he didn't want me to remember meeting him. I never said that. And then he sort of he flies up and lands on top of the Displacer Beast, just like sits cross-legged on top of the Displacer Beast in front of you, as you're like trying to continue degloving it and whatnot. What does Diggin want from us? That'll become clear in time. First, he just wanted you to discover that you had this ability. You will practice it, won't you? You're not very good at it yet. You just stay silent at that one. And so it suits him now for us to remember meeting him. Yes. Because you need to start learning your abilities. You wanted to see if you would come to them on your own. But you're moving rather slowly and he doesn't have the time to wait. Why not? It'll come in time. The rest of it will come in time. My friend Lokar told me she was afraid that I'd made a deal with Diggin. What was it? I'm not at liberty to discuss your deal with Diggin. Your deal with Diggin's between you and Diggin. You can ask him if you want. Aye, I do want. Where is he? He's in the Feywild. So I have to go there to talk to him. It'd be a good place to start, wouldn't it? You from the Feywild? Aye. How'd you get here? I don't give away my secrets. And then he winks and in a puff of green smoke, he disappears from the top of the Displacer Beast. Portal away! As you see him disappear into this green smoke wisp, you consider how he got from the Feywild to here, and you try and think on whether there's anything you've seen that could be construed as a portal of some kind. You remember that the first time that you moved from one place to another, there was no portal that you remember. You just walked through the forest and ended up somewhere else. And so you're not sure exactly what a portal looks like. In all the children's stories, they literally look like a round or oval or oblong sort of opening in space, or like at the very least like a slit or a doorway or a window or an entrance, something like this. In all of these fairy stories, there's always some kind of physical portal, but you never remember seeing anything like that in your memory that was recently returned to you. He was speaking to you in Sylvan. And so you try and focus on what the hell that means. What that means for the location of where portals would be. Are portals more ubiquitous than you imagine? Like, where would they Where would you begin looking for a portal if you wanted to go to the Feywild and speak to this Stygian? And you focus and focus, like trying to rack your brain for anything from stories that you remember about portals. Where would portals be? Where would... You see this wispy green mist still hanging in front of you after a few seconds have passed. And you remember you've seen this sort of thing before. You remember there's like this sudden moment where your consciousness and your memory combine so that you are now living a memory. It's like you're there again. Your body leaves your own body right now and starts to move through the forest at an alarming rate, picking up speed as the trees whip past you until eventually it slows down again and you find yourself in a clearing about a mile or so from here. And you remember being there once before. There's this small babbling brook and a really beautiful meadow of flowers, wildflowers that grow there. And there's a large rock that's quite pointed towards the top, but it's covered in moss. It's very welcoming, and it forms a natural sort of seat, a place to sit. And you remember sitting there for a rest one time while you were in the forest. You didn't even realize how close you were to this point. You didn't realize at the time that how close you were to elven villages. But you find yourself back in that meadow, sitting on that rock, really comfortable because of the thick layer of moss that's on top of the rock, just listening to the babbling brook as it passes this beautiful meadow. And you were lulled into sleeping. And when you awoke, it was quite late. You realised that you were in a bit of danger because it's, generally speaking, you don't want to be caught unawares at the night time in such a forest. But you were under the stars, and there was this sort of whispering sound atop the sound of the flowing river. And looking out over the small river, you found that at the crook where it turns a corner, a real sharp corner, there was this sort of green wispy haze in the air. And you remember thinking that it was strange, and for that reason you found it a little bit dangerous. You didn't want to stick around to find out what it was, so you took off. You took off into the forest and made your way home. But now your memory comes back to you, and your consciousness whips back towards yourself. And you realise that's some sort of portal. That potentially is similar to the magic that whatever this creature was just used to go from one plane to another. And with that you know the direction and distance to the nearest portal to the Feywild. And that's where I'm going to leave it today. You have used for the first time your detect portal ability.